Greetings and welcome to another edition of What's Hot with Tranquility. I am your host, Pete Pardo. Today is Sunday, October the 30th. Happy soon-to-be Halloweens, everybody, here in the U.S. And we've got another edition of the latest and greatest in the worlds of heavy metal, progressive rock, jazz, fusion, hard rock, classic rock. You name it, we do it. We are here a couple times a month on YouTube. This is also on the web at www.seatranquility.org, which is the main place to go for 19,000 plus reviews, editorials, concert reviews, you name it, we've got it there. We're also on Facebook and Twitter as well. So today we're going to dive right in. We got a nice little stack of new things. We've got more to come in the next episode. It seems like the time of year where all sorts of great things are coming out. And we're going to start off with the brand new one from a progressive rock band here from the U.S. who are, oddly enough, celebrating their 23rd anniversary. Hard to believe they've been around that long, but it really has. They've been one of the most consistent bands on the scene. Just one of the best modern progressive rock bands out there. That they do it modern, but they owe a lot to the classic sounds of the 70s. Of course, I'm talking about Chattanooga, Tennessee's Glass Hammer. Valkyrie is their brand new release. It's a concept album, no surprise there. So we've got new lead singer. And she's actually not new. She has been in the band, in and out of the band multiple times before. We're talking about Susie Bogdanovich, and she joins Fred Schendel and Steve Babb, the two co-founders of the group. Steve plays bass and vocals and keyboards. Fred, keyboards and vocals. They both take a larger part in the vocals on this album. So Susie's not left all to her own the entire album, but not that it would matter because she's a great talent. And it's just a really fantastic album. Again, it's a concept about kind of the ravages of war and what war does to the folks who go and fight in the war and then survive it, and how they kind of piece their lives together afterwards. So it's a pretty heavy subject matter, but done in that wonderful symphonic progressive Glass Hammer manner. You've got totally killer keyboard arrangements, great guitar work, great drumming. This actually the nucleus of the band, minus Susie, has actually been together for a number of albums now, and it's good to see some synergy here. They've lost, John Davison went on to join Yes, and Carl Groves was singing with the band for a few years. He was not able to kind of commit to this, so Susie has stepped in as the de facto lead singer. But like I said, she's been a long time veteran in the band, so it's really not that big a deal, and it's nice to hear her in more of a pronounced format here. Really good songs. Some heavy material on here, as you can kind of hear it going on in the background. One of the more rocking Glass Hammer albums in a while. But again, that just wonderful, lush 70s sound, those symphonic arrangements, the great keyboard orchestrations, the dueling, you got Hammond and Moog and piano and guitars. And it's just another really, really good classic Glass Hammer album, and going to be one of the best prog albums of the year. Seems like every time they come out with something new, that's what we're saying about it, but it's always the case. So Valkyrie, the latest from Glass Hammer. Check that one out. Okay, so from a more modern icon of progressive rock, we're going to go back to a band that's been around for many, many years, since the late 60s, early 70s. They were pretty active throughout the 70s. Then they broke up for a while. Their lead singer had a pretty busy solo career. And he resurrected the band about a decade or so ago. The original classic four-piece, then one member dropped off. They've been working as a trio for a while. I'm sure you know who the hell I'm talking about now. It's Graaf Generator. Do Not Disturb is their latest release. And, like I mentioned before, it's down to the trio of Peter Hamill, Guy Evans. Hold on, I'm going to get the names. Guy Evans on drums. So Peter Hamill on guitar, vocals, keyboards, Guy Evans on drums, and of course Hugh Banton on organ, keyboards, and bass. And David Jackson was the sax and flute player for the band from the classic lineup. He did also show up and record with the band for their first album and their kind of reunion tour, so to speak. He then kind of dropped off, so the band had been forming as a trio for the last few albums. do miss Jackson's contributions on sax and flute. I've been a little vocal in my kind of comments about the last couple of Graaf Generator albums, although I like them a lot. Seemed to be missing something, and that was David Jackson. I will say they've done a really good job on this album of making you forget him. Well, maybe you'll never forget him, but not worried the fact that he's not here. This is a really, really good album, and a lot of the material on here will remind you of some of those classic Graaf albums. It's dark, it's angry. There's a couple tunes that are pretty heavy, but you know, those wonderful Hammond organ tones and Hamill's just totally recognizable vocals. I mean, nobody sounds like him. Atmospheric, dark, exciting. It's all here. There's rumors this might be the last album from the band. If you read some of the lyrics that go along with it, could possibly be. But whether it is or whether it isn't, if this is to be it from Graaf, they've gone out with a bang. This is a terrific album. Again, you have to, you know, you either like these guys or you don't. They're not for everybody. They're definitely very different. But, you know, as far as like the 70s bands that are still active today, one of the most consistent on the scene, and this brings in a big way. So, Graaf Generator, Do Not Disturb. Check it out. Okay, we're going to switch gears away from prog. We're going to go into modern, like hard rock, heavy metal, contemporary metal. I don't know what you want to call these guys. They're one of the best on the scene. I'm talking about Alter Bridge, The Last Hero, brand new. You know, I'm pretty guilty of kind of ignoring these guys. You know, I mean, you know, I kind of dug Creed to an extent. But after they kind of went out of fashion, I kind of forgot about them, you know. And then, of course, you know, the three, not counting Scott Stapp, the singer, but the three remaining members of Creed decided to form their own band with vocalist Myles Kennedy. You know, Alter Bridge was that band. I basically just never paid them any mind at all. Never listened to them, never heard a lick of their music, didn't go out of my way, you know, whatever. But the band has been very, very popular, selling lots of albums, lots of tours. They've been pretty active, you know. Creed kind of got back together for a little bit, released an album, did some touring, but Alter Bridge was kind of always still there. Myles Kennedy has also been singing for Slash's band. So, you know, there's been a lot of things, you know, Mark Tremonti, the guitar player, kick-ass guitar player, he's got his own band, Tremonti. But the band taken a couple years off, they've come back with this new album. It is terrific. And hearing this, I've actually gone back and picked up all the Alter Bridge albums, and they're all really, really good. And I will say, top to bottom, this is stellar. Instantly memorable tunes. It's very, very heavy. The guitar riffs and the solos are killer. Kennedy's vocals are outstanding. The hooks are incredible. You know, I mean, Show Me a Leader, Writing on the Wall, My Champion, great tune, should be huge. You know, Poison in Your Veins, Cradle to the Grave, The Last Hero, Island of Fools. I mean, it's just one strong track after another. And I can't get over how heavy the sound actually is. But there's so many great hooks and such killer guitar work, great vocals. Outstanding. Definitely one of the best albums in here. Investigate it. If you're like me and you know, like heavy music but just never check these guys out, you need to do it. Okay, we're going to go back in time again, sort of. Another like classic legacy band from the early 70s. Talking about Cactus. They released a handful of albums, then broke up, never be heard from again until about, like I said, about a decade ago. Carmine Appice and Neil Bogart decided to put the band back together, along with Jim McCarty, their amazing guitar player. But of course, you know, Rusty Day, their original singer, has passed away a number of years ago. So they got a guy named Jimmy Coons to join the band. He's been their singer ever since. This is the second studio album they released since they got back together. It's called Black Dawn. Probably the heaviest album these guys have ever done. You know, Neil Bogart is no longer in the band. He decided to give up touring and recording, so they've got another bass player. But the lineup has been solid for the last bunch of years. They tour fairly frequently. If you get a chance to catch them, they're outstanding, still live. You know, it's just more of the same of that just classic Cactus, heavy rock, heavy blues rock, proto-metal, whatever you want to call it, a little bit of boogie, just great bluesy, heavy rock and roll. And, you know, there's just some great tunes on here. The title track, Dynamite, Juggernaut, Headed for a Fall, The Last Goodbye. There's even two bonus tracks on here. One is a kind of reworking from the original lineup. These are long lost recordings taken out of the vault. called One Way or Another, which is a take on another classic song of theirs. I'm sure you Cactus fans know it, as well as a tune called C70 Blues. So, this is a really, really great album. And I love when like a classic legacy band like this, comes back together and puts out killer material that lives up to their legacy, not just some watered down whatever. So this is outstanding. A band I've loved for a long time, and they still kick some royal ass. Cactus. Okay, today is all about legacy bands, folks. Well, not totally, but for the most part. So here's another band, been around since the late 60s. Their longtime leader, David Allen, passed away from a long battle with cancer last year. But in his last days, he told the band, I want you guys to continue. So they have done that. They've gotten some new members, reformulated the lineup, and they put out Gong, Rejoice, I'm Dead. Okay, so that seems to be a little hint at the fact that David Allen's no longer with us, but he said, hey, I know I'm dead, but you got to rejoice and move on. So this is the next chapter in the history of Gong, are the lovable, psychedelic, prog, trippy, space rock, whatever you want to call these guys. I mean, they've got like a million albums to their credit. Varying degrees of success and influences and styles, and this is no different. It's really, really good. It's melodic. It has a lot of the psychedelic flavors, a bit of prog, a little bit of jazz fusion. Dig it a lot. The vocals were really good. You kind of miss David Allen's weirdness, but he's there in spirit. Maybe you got his vocals on one little strange track on here. I guess he recorded before he died. But otherwise, it's just really, really solid. New band, new beginning. The legacy of Gong continues, folks. If you've always been a fan of the band, you will like this. If you've never discovered Gong, you probably want to go out and check some of their classic material. They've got a lot of it, but this is very, very solid. If you're going to hop on here, work your way back. All right, we're going to stick with classic bands once again. Dutch prog legends Focus have a new album out. What is this on? Is this on Purple Pyramid? It's on Focus Records, folks. But it's called Focus and Friends, Focus 8.5 Beyond the Horizon. So about a decade ago, or so, actually 11 years ago, Focus, the current version of the band, went down to did a tour of South America, and they wound up having a couple days off. They had some studio time, so what they did was they gathered up some prominent South American musicians that were very popular at the time and very busy, and they went to the studio and wrote and recorded a bunch of material. So it's kind of like these, South American musicians with Focus in the studio doing some stuff together, and the results are this. It's good. It's got some Latin flavors to it. It's got the classic prog Focus sound, with the flutes and the Hammond organ, some vocal pieces, some instrumentals. I really like it a lot. It's cool because it's kind of like the meeting of two bands or two factions, so to speak, to do some new music rather than kind of rehash old stuff. So I dig it quite a bit. It's good. Very classy music on here. Like I said, there's some wonderful playing. You got a bunch of drummers playing on here, which is cool. So you get different types of rhythm and flavors. There's plenty of flute and Hammond organ, some rhythm guitar work, different styles of vocals. It's really, really strong. So investigate that one. Okay, now we're going to kind of come back into the present a little bit for some modern bands. Here's one, a very, very good one. These guys are on the Sensory label, which is a label we've been working with for a long time. It's one of the Laser's Edge family of labels that focuses mostly on progressive metal here in the States. This is a band called Oddland. It's their new album called Origin. Whew. Think of the riffs and the rhythms of Meshuggah meet the kind of melodic vocals and progressive nature of classic Opeth. Yeah, baby. This is intense stuff. It's heavy. It's progressive. It's thunderous metal with attitude, but it's intelligent. It's got lots of melody. It's complex. I dig it. Memorable tunes, great vocals, guitar work is off the charts, lots of different odd meters and time changes and all that wonderful stuff that you love from the progressive metal genre. But again, with all those kind of polyrhythms that, the gent bands kind of partake, which was started by the mighty Meshuggah. So, Oddland, Origin. Highly recommend this if you're a progressive metal fan. Okay, we're going to come back to the U.S. here. We're going to go to Maryland. A band called Beelzefuzz, The Righteous Bloom. Dig this one a lot. If you like, you're probably guessing what this is all about. If you loved like those 70s hard rock bands, we're talking about the early days of heavy rock and proto metal and classic rock and all that kind of stuff. So we're talking, a little bit of Sabbath, some Led Zeppelin, some Deep Purple, maybe a little Uriah Heep, some Grand Funk Railroad, a little bit of Humble Pie, a little bit of Cactus, that sort of thing. They're a four-piece, lots of gritty guitars, great vocals, dynamic grooves, occasional Hammond organ, tunes that aren't too long. There's lots of them. Plenty of buzzsaw riffing. You know what I'm talking about. The 70s, folks. Really good young band. Highly recommend this a lot. Beelzefuzz. Cool name, too. Alrighty. With that, we got two albums from a band of veterans who go by the name of Stickman. I'm sure you know who they are. That's Tony Levin on the stick, Chapman stick and bass. Tony, who's a veteran of King Crimson and Peter Gabriel's band. He's Henderson, Wake, and Buford Howe. He's played with everybody. You've got Pat Mastelotto, also ex-Crimson, on drums. And you've got Marcus Reuter on touch guitar. This one here is called Stickman Plus Midori. It's a live album. The reason why it's called Stickman Plus is because they have a special guest, David Cross, violin. David Cross, of course, ex-King Crimson from the mid-70s. This is the album. It is on the Moon June Records label, who, let's face it, put out a ton of great stuff. Two CDs here. They do their interpretations of some King Crimson classics, as well as some originals. Mostly searing instrumental stuff, lots of creepy soundscapes and dueling stick and touch guitar. This is just savage stuff. A really, really good listen. I mean, one of the better live albums you'll hear. There's the guys right there in action. And then you throw in David Cross's stunning violin work. And if you're a King Crimson fan, you need this. Okay. This band has been around for a while. They fit in doing the Stickman in between the other projects they're all working on, but really, really good band. And not only do we have this from them this year, but they've just come out with a brand new studio album. It's called Frogmore. Okay, no David Cross this time around, just the trio, and all new original material. There they are, right there. Quite good as well. A little bit different because they mix in a bunch of vocal tunes on here. I'm not 100% sold on the vocals, okay? It's not that they're bad, but it's just, they're more of kind of like a monotone delivery. Not really meant to impress, just kind of meant to be there and kind of interject, add something different, and I can appreciate them for that. But it's the instrumental work and the instrumental songs on here which really, really stand out. They're exceptional. The musicianship is top-notch. Overall, it's a very, very strong album. Again, got some tunes with vocals. Your mileage may vary there. I don't dislike them. I don't love them. But they have a place. Personally, I'd rather hear these guys just play, but that's just me. Don't let that distract you, though, or deny you from checking this very good album out. Okay, our last regular one for today is we're going to go to South America now for a modern progressive band. You can call them neo-prog, whatever, emotional prog. They're called Isles. The album is called Hawaii. It's a double disc concept album. Very cool artwork. This band's been around for a couple of years. They've got a little handful of albums, all very strong. These guys kind of go more of the modern kind of Marillion route, a little bit of Pendragon. It's very, very melodic, very melancholy. Not a lot of really upbeat material. Really good keyboard work, emotional guitar work. Vocals are very, very strong, very melodic. This is more of like soothing prog, melancholy, emotional prog, not in your face with tons of solos and energetic and upbeat and symphonic. They have their moments where they do that, but this is a little more slower, okay? Like I said, a little more melancholy, a little more little moody, and very melodic and emotional. That's kind of, the Latino way, the Hispanic way, so there's a lot of rich Latin flavors going on here. and I highly recommend it. You know, like I said, don't expect to be bowled over with instrumental virtuosity and bombast. That's not here. But if you like your modern prog a little more laid back, a little more emotional, with lots of moods and melodies, I recommend this. Strange thing is, it's a double disc set concept album, but they probably could have squeezed this all on one CD. But I think they wanted to kind of go for this whole huge package and whatnot, which I think is pretty cool. So, recommend that one. Okay, last feature of the day, as you know, is Forgotten Favorites. So we're going to go back to, oh Lord, what was this, 1985, okay, very early 1985. An album by a guitar virtuoso who was kind of taking the world by storm at the time. He was from Sweden. Isn't everybody from Sweden? Probably guessing who I'm talking about. It's one Yngwie James Malmsteen. Yngwie Malmsteen. Album's called Marching Out. This is my forgotten favorite of the day. You know, most people, when you talk about the classic Yngwie album, generally talk about the first one. Okay. It's called Rising Force, which is mostly instrumental with a few vocal tunes with Jeff Scott Soto, and rightly so, because it's a instrumental tour de force. For me, however, I always go back to the sophomore album. Marching Out, this is killer. It's got Jeff Scott Soto on vocals on the entire album, save for 2 instrumentals, and it's just one kick-ass heavy metal tune after another with that kind of Swedish slant to it. You know, I mean, I'll See the Light Tonight, great commercial metal song. Don't Let It End, Disciples of Hell, heavy, great guitar work. My favorite tune, I Am a Viking. I mean, a riff to die for, a great lead guitar, soaring vocals by Soto. And you know, you got Anguish and Fear, On the Run Again, Soldier Without Faith, Caught in the Middle, and of course the wonderful title track, Marching Out, instrumental to end the album, where Yngwie just kind of shows his stuff. You know, I mean, for me, this is where he kind of put it all together. He had some strong ones to come after this. I mean, you know, Trilogy came next, quite strong, with a new vocalist, Mark Bowles, and then, you know, of course, he did the Odyssey album with Jolie Turner, which I like a lot, probably my second favorite next to this. You know, and then he kind of got into the 90s and just put out a lot of albums that are solid, but sort of forgettable and all the same, and he had a different singer on every album, and I think Yngwie kind of lost his way a little bit. But it's those first couple albums for me that really, really strike home, including this one. Jens Johansson on keyboards. You know, so you got that kind of rainbow deep purple flavor with the dueling keyboard and guitar solos and things like that. So, in my opinion, Yngwie Malmsteen has never sounded better than here. Marching Out, my favorite. It's my forgotten favorite of the day. If you have this one, dig it out from the pile and give it another listen. If you've never checked it out, well, you're missing out. Go buy it now. With that, I'm going to leave you. So we'll see you again in probably about a week or so. Same bat time, same bat channel. I am Pete Pardo for What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're available on Twitter as well as Facebook. You can get all the updates on Facebook, but more importantly, go to the website as we have reviews of all this stuff and a lot more. Until next time, check out all this great new music, but don't forget the classics. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.